In the dim glow of a Seattle hospital room, where the rain pattered against the window like forgotten regrets, Elena Vargas clutched the tiny hand of a newborn boy abandoned in a cardboard box, his cries slicing through her heart like a promise she never knew she needed. She was 38, alone in a world that had chewed her up and spat her out after her own dreams shattered. But in that moment, as his dark eyes locked onto hers, she whispered, "You're mine now, little warrior," sealing a fate that would unravel them both. Little did she know, this act of desperate love would summon 4 more lost souls, each carrying secrets that mirrored her own buried truth, turning their patchwork family into a battlefield of hearts and revelations. Elena had always been a fighter, the kind who patched up wounds with quiet resolve rather than loud declarations. Born in a sleepy border town in Texas before migrating north to the misty embrace of the Pacific Northwest, she built her life from the scraps of others' abandonments. Her days blurred into nights at a community center, counseling runaways and fostering dreams for kids the system forgot. Adopting Marcus that rainy evening in 2003 wasn't planned. It was survival. The boy, barely hours old, had been left outside a fire station with a note scrawled in frantic ink. "I can't." Elena named him Marcus after the Roman general her abuela once romanticized, dreaming he'd conquer worlds she never could. Raising him alone in a creaky Victorian house on Queen and Hill, Elena juggled nursing shifts and midnight feedings, her laughter echoing through rooms that once felt too empty. Marcus grew into a sturdy toddler with her fierce brows and a grin that could melt glaciers. By 5, he was her shadow, trailing her through farmers' markets where she'd haggle for fresh salmon and wild berries, spinning tales of Aztec warriors to make bedtime magical. "Mama," he'd say, curling in her lap, "you're my superhero." Those words were her anchor, pulling her through the loneliness that gnawed at her edges. The what-ifs about the woman who'd slipped away in college, the one whose touch still haunted her dreams. But life in Seattle wasn't all fog-kissed mornings and ferry rides across Puget Sound. The city whispered acceptance in its rainbow crosswalks, yet Elena's heart guarded a vault of silence. She dated men sporadically, safe choices that fizzled like damp fireworks, always wondering if it was the hiding or the truth that scared her most. Marcus turned 10, a lanky boy obsessed with soccer and comic books, when Elena spotted a flyer at the center. "Foster a sibling set? 3 brothers need a home." Her pulse quickened. The Ramirez boys, Theo, Javier, and their baby brother, had lost their parents to a car wreck in Tacoma. Bruised and wary, they arrived with duffel bags and eyes like storm clouds. Theo, the eldest at 8, was a dreamer with paint under his nails and sketches spilling from his pockets. Javier, 6, bounced like a pinball, his energy a shield against grief. And little Kai, just 3, clung to a stuffed dragon Elena would later sew back together 100 times. "We'll be okay," she promised them that first night, piling blankets on the living room floor for a fort. Marcus, ever the big brother, distributed glow sticks like treasures. In those early months, the house thrummed with chaos. Spilled cereal, midnight nightmares, Javier's endless questions about stars. Elena taught them to bake empanadas, her abuela's recipe, the kitchen filling with cinnamon and confessions. "Family isn't blood," she'd say, wiping flour from Theo's cheek. "It's the mess we choose to clean up together." As the boys settled, so did the cracks in Elena's armor. Theo's art bloomed under her encouragement, his canvases capturing the harbor's blues and the ache of loss. Javier joined Little League, Marcus coaching with a patience that swelled Elena's chest. Kai, with his gentle curiosity, collected sea glass on Alki Beach, stringing them into necklaces for Mama E. But beneath the routines, tension simmered. Schoolyard taunts about their weird family stung Marcus, who punched a bully and came home with a split lip. Elena held him as he sobbed. "Why can't we be normal?" Her answer was a hug, fierce and wordless, because normal was a lie she'd told herself for years. By 2015, the family had woven into a tapestry of inside jokes and shared scars. Elena, now 45, watched her sons navigate adolescence with a mix of pride and terror. Marcus, at 17, was captain of the high school team, his broad shoulders hiding a vulnerability that emerged one crisp October evening. They were raking leaves in the yard, the air sharp with wood smoke from neighborhood fires, when Marcus dropped his rake. "Mama," he said, voice cracking like autumn branches. There's something I need to tell you. I'm gay. The word hung between them, fragile as frost. Elena's heart stuttered, not from shock, but from the echo of her own unspoken life. She pulled him close, leaves crunching underfoot. My brave boy, she murmured. I've known love that defies labels too. You're perfect as you are. That night, as Marcus slept, Elena sat on the porch with a mug of chamomile, staring at the Olympics silhouetted against the stars. Relief washed over her for him, but it cracked open her own floodgates. She'd buried her queerness deep after that college romance with Sarah, a fiery poet whose letters Elena still hid in a shoebox. Fear of judgment, of losing the boys to a system that favored traditional homes, had silenced her. But Marcus's courage was a mirror, reflecting the woman she'd caged. Word spread slowly in their tight-knit community, a mix of supportive nods from the local cafe owner and sideways glances of the grocery store. Elena rallied, organizing a family movie night with Love, Simon, popcorn kernels popping like tiny fireworks. The boys laughed, Javier mimicking the awkward dances, but Theo's eyes lingered on the screen, thoughtful. Weeks later, during a rainy hike in Discovery Park, Theo pulled Elena aside by a fern-choked trail. It's me too, he confessed, rain mingling with tears on his freckled face. I like boys. And I've been drawing someone special. Elena enveloped him in her rain jacket, whispering, Your heart's art is the most beautiful yet. Theo's first crush, a classmate named Alex, led to tentative park dates, Elena chaperoning with feigned nonchalance, her own memories stirring like old vinyl. The revelations rippled outward, binding them tighter. Javier, the firecracker, burst out at 15 during a backyard barbecue, hollering it over sizzling burgers to a stunned circle of friends. Deal with it or leave, he yelled, but his voice trembled. Elena caught his eye across the smoke, nodding her unyielding support. Kai, the quiet observer, waited until 16, unfolding his truth during a midnight stargazing session on the roof. The stars don't care who I love, he said softly, pointing to Orion. Neither do I. Each coming out was a thread pulled, fraying old fears but mending new strengths. Elena became their North Star, attending pride parades with rainbow face, paint smeared across cheeks, chanting for rights she'd long advocated from the shadows. Yet as the boys flourished, Marcus off to UW on a scholarship, Theo's murals gracing community walls, Javier captaining the debate team, Kai tutoring in poetry, the weight on Elena grew. At 48, with the house echoing emptier, she reconnected with an old flame through a chance email. Dr. Lila Chun, a pediatrician from her nursing days, now widowed and living in Portland, wrote, I've thought of you every eclipse since. Their coffee meetup in a Capitol Hill bistro turned into hours of shared silences, hands brushing over lattes. Lila's laugh, like wind chimes in a gale, unlocked Elena's vault. Late-night drives along Lake Washington followed, windows down, Adele crooning about rumors they both ignored. The romance bloomed in stolen weekends, Lila's gentle hands tracing the lines of Elena's hidden scars. You've built an empire of love, Lila said one evening, tangled in sheets overlooking the sound. But Elena hesitated, the boys' futures flashing like warning lights. What if her truth shattered their stability? Marcus's wedding plans to his partner, Theo's gallery opening. Could she risk it all? The kith and kin they'd forged was her lifeline, yet loving Lila felt like breathing after drowning. One stormy Thanksgiving, as snow dusted the evergreens, the family gathered. Marcus announced his engagement, Javier his acceptance to Stanford, Theo a fellowship in New York, Kai a book deal for his verses. Laughter filled the dining room, turkey aromas mingling with gratitude. But Elena's smile faltered when Lila arrived, uninvited yet inevitable, her coat dusted with flakes. The boys exchanged glances, sensing the shift. Mama, Liam, wait, no, Kai started, but it was all of them, voices overlapping. We know. And we love you. In that moment, the dam broke. Elena confessed, tears carving paths down her cheeks. I thought protecting you meant hiding me. But loving her, it's the truest part of who I am. Lila took her hand, steady as bedrock. The boys enveloped them, a chorus of finally and hugs that smelled of home. Outside, the storm cleared, revealing a double rainbow arching over the bay, a promise that secrets, once shared, become bridges, not burdens. Years later, Elena and Lila exchanged vows in that same backyard, the 5 sons, now men with lives woven across coasts, standing as witnesses. Marcus officiated, his voice steady with the wisdom of his own journey. Theo sketched the scene. Javier toasted with fiery words. Kai recited a poem of hidden constellations finally aligned. In the end, their family wasn't defined by blood or labels, but by the radical act of choosing visibility, turning whispers into roars of unapologetic love. And in Elena's heart, the biggest secret had become the greatest gift, freedom, wrapped in the arms of those she'd saved and who, in turn, had redeemed her. The winter after Kai's revelation, Seattle wrapped itself in a cloak of relentless gray, mirroring the subtle undercurrents of change in the Vargishchan household. Elena, now navigating the tender chaos of her reawakened heart, found solace in the rhythm of her days. Morning jogs along the Burke-Gilman Trail, where the canal's glassy surface reflected her tentative smiles, and evenings curled on the couch with Lila, dissecting case files and childhood memories over herbal tea. Lila's presence was a quiet revolution, her sharp wit cutting through Elena's doubts like sunlight piercing fog. "You've raised warriors," Lila would say, tracing Elena's knuckles. "Now let them see yours." Marcus, the eldest, had always been the barometer of the family's emotional weather. At 19, he was a freshman at the University of Washington, majoring in environmental science, his dorm room a shrine to Patagonia catalogs and dog-eared copies of Auden. But beneath his eco-activist fervor lay a fragility Elena recognized from her own youth. The fear of being too much or not enough. His coming out had been the first crack in the facade, but it was his deepening relationship with Nate, a fellow student with a mop of auburn hair and a laugh like summer thunder, that tested the waters of true vulnerability. It started with a phone call on a sleety December afternoon. Elena was knee-deep in holiday prep, untangling Christmas lights in the attic while Javier blasted reggaeton from the kitchen, attempting, and failing, to bake snickerdoodles. The phone buzzed on the windowsill, Marcus's name flashing. "Mama, Nate and I had a fight." His voice was raw, edged with the kind of hurt that comes from loving too fiercely. Elena dropped the lights, heart lurching. "Tell me everything, Mijo." Over the next hour, as rain lashed the panes, Marcus poured out the storm. Nate's jealousy over Marcus's close bond with the family, the accusations of not being all in, the slammed dorm door that echoed Marcus's deepest insecurity, that his queerness made him unlovable. Elena drove south through the downpour that night, tires hydroplaning on I-5, Lila's steady voice on speakerphone urging her to breathe through the fear. Arriving at the UW campus, she found Marcus huddled on a bench outside the Husky Union building, snowflakes melting in his curls. He collapsed into her arms, sobs muffled against her coat. "What if he leaves me like everyone else?" Elena held him tighter, the cold seeping into her bones, but not her resolve. "Love isn't a test you pass or fail. It's showing up, scars and all. Nate sees you, the real you. Give him the chance to stay." The reconciliation came over hot cocoa at a campus cafe, Elena playing reluctant mediator with a mother's intuition. Nate arrived sheepish, his freckles stark against flushed cheeks. "I'm scared too," he admitted, eyes on Marcus. "Scared you'll realize I'm not enough." The words hung, a bridge between their hurts. Elena slipped away, giving them space, her own mind wandering to Lila's recent confession, a past marriage shadowed by repression, a daughter lost to illness. "We're both rebuilders," Lila had said, and in that cafe's steam-warmed air, Elena felt the truth settle. Back home, the incident wove deeper threads into their tapestry. Javier, now 14 and all limbs and attitude, channeled his empathy into pranks, leaving rainbow, sticky notes on Marcus's textbooks during visits. Property of the best big bro, one read, earning a playful wrestle that dissolved into laughter. Theo, 16 and burgeoning artist, immortalized the moment in a sketch. Marcus and Nate hand in hand under a canopy of evergreens, titled Roots Entwined. Kai, the sage at 11, gifted Marcus a sea glass heart. "For when doubts crash like waves," he explained solemnly. But Kith wasn't without thorns. The new year brought whispers from the neighborhood PDA, where Elena volunteered for the school's diversity committee. A bake sale turned tense when Mrs. Hargrove, A silver-haired widow with a penchant for passive-aggressive flyers cornered her. It's brave what you're doing with the boys, but have you thought about stability for their futures? Elena's blood simmered, her response measured but laced with steel. Stability? It's teaching them to love without apology. That's the future. She walked away, pulse thundering, later venting to Lila over wine at a Pike Place speakeasy. They're judging us, me, for loving out loud. Lila's hand on hers was fire and anchor. Then love louder. Spring unfurled with tentative blooms, mirroring Elena's own. She and Lila stole a weekend in the San Juan Islands, ferrying to Orcas where Orcas breached the strait like living poetry. In a cliffside cabin, they danced to old Motown records, bodies swaying to Ain't No Mountain High Enough. Elena's walls crumbled under Lila's gaze, confessions spilling like tide pools. The college heartbreak, the years of code switching at work, the terror of adoption hearings where her queerness could have been a strike against her. I chose silence for them, she whispered. Lila kissed her forehead. Now choose us. The boys sensed a shift upon their return. Marcus, visiting for Easter brunch, pulled Elena aside in the garden, tulips nodding in a breeze. You're glowing, Mama. Is it her? Elena nodded, throat tight. Dr. Chun. Lila. His grin was sunshine. About time. Nate approves. The endorsement rippled, Javier dubbing Lila Annie awesome. After she fixed a skateboard with surgical precision, Theo bonding over gallery critiques, Kai shyly sharing haikus about hearts like hidden coves. Yet drama lurked in summer's heat. Theo's art took a bold turn. His senior project, a series of portraits titled Veiled Selves, abstracted figures emerging from shadows, inspired by the family journeys. The school board balked, citing inappropriateness for the hallways. Elena stormed the meeting in the high school's fluorescent-lit auditorium, her voice echoing off cinder-block walls. This isn't provocation, it's truth. My son, and others like him, deserve to see themselves reflected, not censored. Backlash brewed. Anonymous emails, a petition from conservative parents. Theo wavered, charcoal smudging his fingers as he paced the studio. What if they hate me for it? Elena gathered them that night around the kitchen island, remnants of takeout, faux steaming. Hate's their fear-talking. Yours is power. Lila arrived with reinforcements, a queer artist collective contact, and together they pivoted, a community pop-up at the Fremont Sunday Market. Crowd swelled, sales soared, Theo's confidence blooming like foxgloves. In the aftermath, as they packed unsold canvases, Theo hugged Elena fiercely. You fight for us. Let's fight for you. As autumn leaves turned, Elena's secret edged closer to the surface. A work colleague, sensing her distraction, probed gently. Seeing someone? Elena's evasion felt like sand slipping. Lila proposed over a sunset picnic at Gasworks Park, not with a ring, but a promise. Build with me. Not in hiding. Elena's yes was a whisper carried on the wind, but the boys' impending milestones, Marcus's internship, Javier's first crush, loomed as harbingers. How to weave Lila into their forever without unraveling the now? The answer came unbidden, in a cascade of truths yet to unfold. Fall deepened into a palette of rust and gold, the kind of Seattle season that lured tourists to the markets but kept locals huddled in coffee shops, plotting against the encroaching dark. Elena's life, once a solitary orbit around her sons, now spun with Lila's gravitational pull, their dates a mosaic of stolen intimacies, whispered sonnets in the Japanese garden, hands intertwined during Volkanovsky hikes, the thrill of almost kisses in crowded Elliott Bay Book Company aisles. At 50, Elena felt alive in ways she'd forgotten. Lila's touch a reminder that desire didn't expire with decades or denials. Javier's coming out, though explosive in delivery, had been the family's lightest burden, his bravado a shield Elena admired even as it worried her. Now 16, he was a whirlwind of contradictions. Debate club phenom dismantling arguments on queer rights with razor logic, yet crumbling at the thought of his first real romance. It ignited during a school trip to the Olympic Sculpture Park, where jagged steel forms mirrored his inner tumult. Back home, Javier cornered Elena in the laundry room, detergent pods scattering like confetti. Mama, there's this guy Diego from history class. He kissed me behind a calder. His cheeks blazed, words tumbling. It was amazing, but what if it's just a phase? What if I'm broken? Elena's heart ached with recognition. the echo of her own fumbling firsts, hidden in dorm room shadows. She drew him to the couch, the one sagging from years of story time, and shared a sliver of her vault. My first love was a girl named Maria in high school. Stolen glances in the bleachers, notes passed in Spanish class. It terrified me then, but it shaped me. Javier's eyes widened, not in shock but solidarity. You're like us. A tentative grin broke through. Cool. So advice? Diego invited me to homecoming. The dance was a rite of passage laced with peril. Elena chaperoned, Lila at her side in a subtle pantsuit, their fingers brushing under the balloon arch as Javier and Diego swayed awkwardly to Lizzo. Whispers slithered from clusters of classmates. Vargas kid's got a boyfriend. Figures with that mom. Elena's jaw tightened, but Lila's squeeze grounded her. Later, in the parking lot under sodium lamps, Javier emerged beaming, Diego's jacket over his shoulders. He said yes to more dates. The joy was infectious, but shadowed by a cruel twist. Diego's father, a local councilman with anti-LGBT leanings, forbade the relationship upon hearing rumors. The fallout hit like a squall. Javier stormed home, slamming doors that rattled the crystal Elena's abuela left her. Dad hates me. Says it's a sin, a phase I'll grow out of. Tears carved tracks through his gelled hair. Elena rallied the troops via group text, the family converging in a war council over pizza at Pagliacci's. Marcus drove up from Seattle Center, Theo from his after-school studio, Kai from chess club with a strategy board under arm. We mapped this, Kai declared, drawing lines like battle plans. Lila contributed psychologically. Boundaries, not barriers. Diego's his own navigator. Their intervention was a masterclass in love's logistics. Marcus mentored Javier on resilience, sharing Nate's family struggles. Theo crafted protest art, posters of intertwined hands in primary colors for Javier's locker. Kai scripted debate rebuttals for potential confrontations. Elena and Lila tag team calls to the school counselor, ensuring safe spaces. The climax unfolded at a city hall forum, where Javier, voice steady as rebar, testified, "Love isn't politics. It's personal. Deny my right, and you deny humanity." The room erupted, cameras flashing, but Diego slipped backstage afterward, whispering, "I'm fighting too. For us." Victory was bittersweet. The couple endured, but strains showed, secret meetups, coded texts. Elena watched Javier navigate it with a maturity that humbled her, prompting late-night talks with Lila on the deck, fairy horns moaning in the distance. "He's braver than I was at his age," Elena admitted, stars pricking the velvet sky. Lila pulled her close. "Because you showed him how. Now show yourself." Winter holidays amplified the highs and lows. The family adopted a tradition, Truth Tree, a spindly pine decked with ornaments etched with secrets shared. Marcus hung his engagement photo, Theo, a gallery acceptance. Javier, Diego's selfie, Kai, a poem draft. Elena hesitated, her bauble blank. Lila's encouraging nod tipped the scale. She inscribed Lila's hand in mine. The boys cheered, toasting with eggnog. "To Mama's glow up," Javier quipped. But external gales gathered. Elena's nursing supervisor, a holdover from more conservative eras, scheduled a discreet meeting. "Personal life affecting work?" she probed, eyeing Elena's pride pin. The implication stung, bias veiled as concern. Elena documented, consulted Lila's legal friend, and confronted it head-on. "My excellence speaks for itself. Question that, not my heart." The supervisor backed down, but the encounter left bruises, Elena confiding in the boys during a bonfire at Golden Gardens. "It's exhausting, hiding pieces to fit." Marcus, home for break, organized a family photo shoot at Cary Park, the skyline a glittering backdrop. "No more fragments," he insisted, directing poses that captured their wholeness. Javier and Diego mid-laugh. Theo sketching spontaneously, Kai reading aloud. The images, developed at a queer-owned lab, adorned a fridge, a visual manifesto. Spring brought renewal, but also reckoning. Kai, 13 and introspective, grappled with his own budding affections during a school poetry slam. His piece, Whispers in the Waves, alluded to a crush on classmate Riley, earning snaps, but also hallway jeers. Kai internalized it, withdrawing into books and beaches. Elena noticed the shift during their ritual clam bakes at West Point Lighthouse. Kai poking at mussels instead of devouring them. Talk to me, little dragon, she urged, salt air whipping her hair. Under a driftwood shelter, Kai unfolded. Riley smiled at me today. Like really smiled. But the kids call me Fairy Boy. What if it's not worth it? Elena's response was visceral. She shared her shoebox letters from Sarah, yellowed with time. Worth isn't a trying. I regret the silence more than the stumbles. Kai's hug was fierce, sand gritting between them. The turning point came at a Youth Pride workshop Elena hosted at the center. Kai attended, Riley too, their shy exchange sparking under fairy lights. Elena facilitated, her voice weaving safety nets. By summer solstice, Kai and Riley were inseparable. Picnics in Volunteer Park, stargazing with telescopes borrowed from Theo. The family's acceptance was seamless, Javier dubbing them the Poet Posse. Yet Elena's arc crested amid it all. A routine checkup with Lila turned confessional. Marry me? Not for show, for us. Elena's yes echoed her son's truths, a vow to live unveiled. The proposal dinner at Camless, with city lights twinkling below, included the boys via video, cheers cascading like champagne bubbles. As leaves turned again, the family stood stronger, but the horizon hinted at storms. Theo's move east, Javier's college apps, the weave of Elena's new chapter. Secrets, once solitary, now sang in harmony. Summer 2020 arrived in Seattle like a fever dream, the pandemic cloaking the city in masks and murmurs. But the Vargas clan turned isolation into invention. Elena's hospital shifts stretched into marathons, gloved hands a blur of compassion, while Lila pivoted to telehealth, her apartment a command center of screens and sympathy. The house on Queen and became a sanctuary of video calls and virtual game nights. The boys scattered yet tethered. Marcus interning remotely in Portland with Nate, Theo hunkered in the attic studio. Javier zoomed debating from his bed, Kai journaling by the bay window. Theo's art had always been his compass, but quarantine sharpened its edge. At 18, he channeled the world's unrest into a digital series, Quarantined Queens, portraits of queer icons reimagined in lockdown. Sylvia Rivera coding from a couch, Marsha P. Johnson baking sourdough. The series went viral on Instagram, shares rippling from Capitol Hill activists to national feeds. Elena beamed at the notifications, but pride mingled with prescience. Fame's a double-edged brush. She warned over breakfast burritos, avocados smashed with cilantro. Theo shrugged, his lanky frame draped in a paint-splattered hoodie. It's fuel, mama, for the fight. His partner, Alex, a barista-turned-graphic designer with tattoos like living graffiti, echoed the sentiment during their bi-weekly porch hangs, 6 feet apart, but spirits entwined. Yet when a conservative podcast clipped Theo's work, twisting it into indoctrination fodder, the backlash crashed like a wave. Trolls flooded his DMs, slurs, death threats, doxing attempts. Theo's bravado cracked. He spent days offline, curled in the studio, easel untouched. Elena found him there one dusk, the room a cave of half-finished canvases and takeout wrappers. The world's ugly, he muttered, knees to chest. Maybe I should stick to landscapes. Her heart fractured. She remembered her own silenced voice, the emails from adoption agencies hinting at lifestyle concerns. Kneeling, she cupped his face. Ugliness thrives in silence. Your art? It's light in their dark. Don't dim for them. Lila joined via FaceTime, her calm dissecting the noise. Block, report, create on. You're not alone. The family mobilized like a well-oiled machine. Marcus hacked together a cybersecurity shield. Javier drafted clapback threads with legal zingers. Kai curated a playlist of anthems. Born This Way, Raise Hell. They launched a counter-campaign, Art Over Hate, auctioning pieces for Trevor Project donations. Supporters surged. Ellen retweeted. A local gallery offered a solo show. Theo emerged Phoenix-like, his next piece a self-portrait. Him shattering a screen, colors exploding outward. For Us, he titled it, dedicating to Elena at the virtual unveiling. The victory bonded them deeper, but personal tempests brewed. Javier, 17 and restless, chafed against virtual senior year. His relationship with Diego had weathered distance, late-night calls, care packages of mixtapes, but a visit to Tacoma ignited sparks. Diego's father, emboldened by election rhetoric, confronted them at a park picnic. This ends now, he barked, yanking Diego away. Javier, fists clenched, shouted back. Your hate ends with you. Bruises bloomed on his ego, not skin, as Diego ghosted, citing family pressure. Devastated, Javier hitchhiked home. A reckless 3 hours Elena learned of only when he burst through the door, duffel flying. He chose them over me. The wail echoed, raw as open wounds. Elena enveloped him on the stairs, Lila arriving with ice cream and insight. The living room became therapy central. Marcus sharing his prenatal heartbreaks, Theo's sketches of fractured hearts mending. Kai read Rumi. The wound is the place where the light enters. Over days of board games and beach walks, socially distanced, of course, Javier processed, journaling letters to Diego he burned at midnight bonfires. Healing came circuitously. A school ally, Mateo, a soccer teammate with a disarming dimple and shared love for hip-hop, reached out. Heard about Diego. Sucks. Want to kick a ball? What began as distraction evolved. Pickup games at Interbay, post-match tacos where laughter bridged silences. Javier's confession to Elena came mid-dribble in the backyard. Mateo's. Different. Real. She high-fived him, sweat slicked. Then show him your fire. Their first date, a drive-in screening of Moonlight at the Lot in Kent, was magic laced with nerves. Elena packed a cooler, Lila's slipping in condoms with a wink. Safety first, spark second. Javier returned starry-eyed, Mateo trailing for Coco. The family grilled him gently. Favorite teams? Sounders. Go to karaoke? WAP. Earning groans, sealing approval. But Javier's growth shone in vulnerability. He started a podcast, Queer Quarantine Chronicles, interviewing peers on love and lockdown. Listeners multiplied, his voice a beacon. Kai, the quiet anchor at 14, navigated adolescence with poetic grace, but COVID amplified his isolation. Homeschooling suited his rhythm, devouring Neruda, sketching shorelines, but crushes didn't virtualize easily. Riley, his part poet, had moved to Spokane for family, their connection fraying to sporadic snaps. Kai's melancholy surfaced in withdrawn dinners, fork-pushing peas like unsolved riddles. Elena broached it during a solo ferry ride to Bainbridge, waves lapping the hull. Missing him, Kai nodded, wind tousling his ponytail. It's like half a haiku, beautiful but incomplete. Elena's counsel was layered. Distance tests doesn't destroy. Write in the words you'd say in person. Kai did, a chapbook of titled poems mailed with sea glass. Riley's reply, a video of him reciting under Idaho pines, rekindled embers. They sustained through letters, planning a post-vax reunion. Kai's gratitude manifested in a family gift. Personalized journals, Elena's inscribed for the loves we claim. As vaccines rolled out, the world cracked open, but so did Elena's resolve. She and Lila eloped in a civil ceremony at City Hall, masks dangling like afterthoughts, the boys witnessing via live stream from their corners. I do, Elena vowed. Lila's ring a simple gold band etched with waves. The virtual after-party, piñata wax, and virtual toasts, ended with Marcus's toast, to secrets that set us free. Fall's foliage heralded transitions. Theo's gallery debut, Javier's graduation, Kai's first published verse. Elena, fortified by love, faced a crossroads at work, a promotion requiring relocation to Spokane. What if it pulls us apart? She confided to Lila. The answer, as always, lay in the chorus of her son's voices, urging unity over fracture. Yet the symphony swelled toward crescendo, Theo's ambitions pulling threads taut. Autumn 2021 painted Seattle in fiery strokes, the air crisp with possibility as the city shed its pandemic skin. Elena's promotion decision hung like a fog bank, Spokane's stability versus the harbor's heartbeat. But Lila's pragmatism prevailed. Roots deepen when we stretch. They compromised on a hybrid, Elena commuting quarterly, their home base the Victorian with its creaking charms. The boys, now orbiting adulthood, embraced the flux. Marcus and Nate house hunting in Capitol Hill, Theo packing for his New York fellowship, Javier prepping for Stanford, Kai eyeing NYU's creative writing. Theo's departure loomed largest, a seismic shift for the artist who turned their attic into a cosmos of color. His going-away party was a block bash, tacos from El Camion, string lights twinkling like fireflies, neighbors toasting with microbrews. Alex, ever the rock, helped load the U-Haul, his kiss goodbye lingering under the street lamp. Call every day, Theo joked, but his eyes betrayed the ache. Elena hugged him last, inhaling his turpentine scent. Paint the skyline for me, Corazon. As taillights faded down the hill, the house sighed, emptier but echoing with legacy. Javier's senior year finale was a whirlwind of accolades. Valedictorian, debate nationals, his podcast hitting 10K downloads. Mateo anchored him through it, their romance a steady burn. From under disco balls, Elena and Lila crashing as chaperones, graduation caps tossed at Memorial Stadium with whoops that drowned the sound. But post-high jitters hit hard. Stanford's acceptance packet arrived, gleaming with promise. Yet Javier confided over late-night ramen. What if I flame out? Or Mateo fades across the miles. Elena, stirring broth, shared her nursing school fears, the all-nighters, the doubt. Success isn't absence of fear, it's dancing with it. Lila added therapy recs, her network vast. Javier's send-off was epic. A road trip caravan to Palo Alto. Marcus shotgun with maps, Kai DJing indie folk, Theo beaming in from JFK via video. At drop-off, hugs stretched eternal, Mateo's promise ring glinting. Miles can't dim this. Javier's first semester letters brimmed with wonder. Silicon Valley sunsets, poli-sci seminars, but a midterms meltdown call pierced the joy. Overwhelmed, mama. Failing calc. Elena flew down, turning study sessions into strategy. Pomodoro timers. Mateo, FaceTiming pep talks. Grades rebounded. Javier emerging with a mantra. Queer and conquering. Kai, 15 and blooming. Stepped into the void. Theo left with quiet ferocity. His Riley reunion post-vax was a poetry festival in Port Townsend. Ferry crossing fraught with butterflies, hands clasping on the deck as Whidbey blur by. Their weekend, bonfires reciting Whitman, kisses tasting of salt and esmores. Back home, Kai glowed, but school shadows lingered. A bully slur in the locker room, fag poet. He internalized, verses turning thorny. Elena caught it during their alky ritual, skipping stones into the surf. Words as weapons? She asked. Kai nodded, hurling a flat rock far. Hurts more than fists. The confrontation brewed at a district book fair, Kai's chapbook on display. The bully, Ethan, sneered publicly. Fairy tales for fairies. Elena, volunteering, intervened with ice in her veins, apologize, or explain to the principal why intolerance has no shelf space. Ethan mumbled retreat, but Kai's follow-up with the counselor sparked a GSA club revival. Riley's virtual support, co-writing a zine on resilience, fortified him. Kai's growth culminated in a TEDx youth talk. Verses versus vitriol, streamed to hundreds. Elena watched teary-eyed, Lila squeezing her hand. Your legacy in rhyme. Marcus's orbit stabilized into orbits plural. At 22, his internship evolved to full-time and environmental NGO, Nate's graphic skills synergizing on campaigns. Their engagement planning was a family affair, venue hunts at Butcher Gardens, ring designs sketched by Theo. But pre-wedding jitters surfaced during a Thanksgiving video call, Marcus's face pixelated with strain. Nate's folks. They're coming around, but old hurts die hard. Elena recalled her own in-law tensions, the subtle digs at family dinners. Weddings unearth ghosts. Honor yours. Invite theirs to the feast. The bachelor party, a glamping trip to the Cascades, became catharsis. Fly fishing in alpine streams, truth or dare around the fire pit. Marcus dared. Biggest fear? Nate, losing you to the world. Vows exchanged at a lakeside ceremony, officiated by a park ranger friend, with the family ferrying up en masse. Elena's toast, glasses clinking. Love like rivers, twisting but always forward. Post-honeymoon, Marcus gifted her a custom locket. Photos of the five, inside Lila's too. Full circle, mama. Elena's world, meanwhile, deepened hues. Her Spokane stints were productive. Mentoring nurses, Lila visiting with wine-fueled weekends, but home pulls tugged. A health scare, a routine mammogram flagging something, rattled her. Lila's hand through the biopsy weight was lifeline. Results benign, but lessons stark. Life's too finite for halves, she told the boys in a group call, voice steady. Lila and I, we're forever now. Rings or not. Cheers erupted, Javier quipping. Legalize it already. Winter solstice brought a surprise. Theo's fellowship extension, A big Apple mural commission for a queer center. His call crackled with excitement. Brooklyn, mama, but I'll be home for the holidays. The reunion was raucous. Dim sum at Duck One, tree trimming with ornaments from travels. Over mulled wine, Theo pulled Elena aside. Alex proposed. In Central Park, under that blasted bridge. Joy surged, but Elena's eyes missed it. My artist building empires. The double wedding buzz began. Marcus and Nate's reception doubling as Theo and Alex's engagement party. Spring 2022 heralded blooms and burdens. Javier's freshman woes peaked with a campus protest, anti-trans bill backlash, where he was pepper sprayed. Elena's red-eye flight landed her in ER triage. Lila, coordinating remotely. Bruised but unbroken. Javier hugged her, fought for us all. Kai's high school romance with Riley deepened. A summer internship in Spokane bridging gaps. But Elena's arc arced toward revelation. A work conference in Portland. Lila's keynote on inclusive healthcare. Elena's panel on family dynamics. Post-talk, a reporter probed. As a queer mom of 5 gay sons, Elena froze, then flowed. Yes. And my wife, Lila, completes the circle. The article dropped like a stone in still water. Ripples to national wires. Backlash. Trolls. Think pieces on Gaby booms. Support. Fan mail. Invites to panels. The boys rallied. Theo's tweet storm. Proud of my queer queen mama. Lila's vow renewal whisper. Out and owning it. As summer simmered, the family plotted a retreat. Cabin in the Olympics, no signals, just stories. Elena's secret. Once a shadow, now shown, illuminating paths ahead. The Olympic Peninsula cabin was a time capsule of knotty pine and kerosene lamps, rented for a week where cell service surrendered to cedar whispers and elk bugles at dawn. Elena orchestrated it as reset. No deadlines, just a rising for Bannock, Rivers kayaked under eagle eyes. The boys arrived piecemeal, Marcus and Nate towing a trailer of board games, Theo and Alex fresh from JFK with Subway tales, Javier teleporting from Stanford with Mateo in tow, Kai and Riley carpooling from Seattle Poetry Slam. Lila, the quiet conductor, unpacked coolers of heirloom tomatoes and herb cheeses, her smile, Elena's secret son. First nights were revelry. Esmores by the fire ring, Javier's ghost stories eliciting shrieks from Kai, Marcus strumming guitar to Wonderwall remix queer. But under the levity, current swirled. Theo, 20, confessed over morning coffee on the porch, mist veiling the whole rainforest. New York's electric, but lonely. Alex and I fight over time zones, my schedule. Elena nodded, remembering her early nursing shifts, the ache of empty beds. Love's not possession, it's presence and absence. Schedule's sacred slots. Lila, eavesdropping with a wink, added, therapy helped us. Neutral ground for storms. Theo took it to heart, their mediated call that evening yielding tears and truces. Alex's flight out for a surprise visit cemented it. Couples hiked to Sol Duc Falls, hands linked on moss-slick trails. The group's toast that night, to bridges, not walls. Javier, 18 and cocky, absorbed parallels in his own long-distance tango with Mateo. Stanford's grind, CS majors, hackathons, clashed with stolen weekends, a recent spat over missed anniversaries leaving Javier sullen by the lake. He thinks I'm ghosting for grades. Elena, fly fishing rod in hand, reeled in wisdom. Grades fade, trust endures. Plan the pause, not just the pursuit. Mateo's compensatory poem, recited over crackling Zoom, melted ice. Verses of circuits and souls intertwined. Javier's response, a coded app for love logs, sparked reconciliation, Mateo demoing at Lakeside via video. Kai, 16, watched wide-eyed, his Riley dynamic a gentler rhythm. Join online classes, summer plans for a Cascadia tour. But adolescence nipped. Riley's coming out to conservative folks, strain calls. Kai vented during a solo canoe paddle. Elena paddling parallel. He sounds distant like echoes. Her counsel, echoes amplify if you listen close. Be his harbor. Kai's letter campaign, daily dispatches of press ferns and sonnets, drew Riley nearer, their virtual date a starlit picnic stream from Idaho. The cabin's magic amplified healings, family talent show, Theo's drag lip sync to Gaga, Javier's rap battle with Marcus, dissolved barriers. Elena and Lila's duet, a tango to La Vie en Rose, earned wolf whistles, her blush blooming like rhododendrons. Midweek, storms rolled in, rain lashing the roof like Judgment Day. Power flickered, forcing a circle by lantern light. Storm stories, Elena dubbed, each sharing tempests weathered. Marcus on early outing rejection. Felt like exile till Nate's low. Theo on art trolls. Hates howl, my canvas roar. Javier on Diego's ghost. Ghosted but gained. Kai on first slurs. Words wound, but weave armor. Elena's turn trembled. My silence, for you. Biggest storm I sailed. Lila's hand anchored her. The boys' nods a chorus of grace. Clearing skies brought clarity. A group hike to Hurricane Ridge unveiled vistas of snow-capped peaks, metaphor for peaks ahead. Marcus announced, Nate and I adopting. Foster to adopt, a little girl. Gasps turned glee, hugs tumbling like avalanches. How? Unso duty inkming. Javier plotted cool uncle merch, Kai verses for lullabies. Elena's heart swelled, legacy looping. Post-cabin, life's tempo accelerated. Fall 2022 saw Theo's mural unveiling in Brooklyn. A rainbow-veined subway map of queer history, crowds thronging. Elena flew east, Lila in tow. The dedication plaque reading, For Mama E, colors from courage. Tears flowed as Theo embraced her, flashbulbs popping. Javier's sophomore surge included a tech incubator pitch, app for queer youth networking, securing seed funding, Mateo co-founder. Their visit to Seattle brimmed with pride parades, Elena marching arm in arm, banner high. Moms for marriage equality. Kai's junior year sparkled. Riley relocating to UW, their apartment a nest of books and boba runs. But a car accident, minor fender bender on Aurora, shook them. Kai's panic attack in the ER, summoning Elena's midnight drive. Lost him for a second, Kai whispered, monitors beeping. Lila's post-trauma toolkit, breathing exercises, journaling, steadied him, family converging for a resilience roast dinner, laughter leavening fear. Elena's professional ascent peaked, keynoted a national nursing conference on queer care and crisis, her speech weaving family tales with data, standing ovation thundering. Backlash minimal, trolls muted by allies' amplification. Lila's book deal followed, a memoir on resilient love, dedicated to Elena, my harbor in every storm. Winter holidays fuse traditions. Hanukkah lacks from Lila's heritage, Posada Piñatas, a united tree twinkling. Marcus's adoption journey advanced. Home study passed, little Sophia's photo arriving. Wide eyes, tufted hair. The family's baby shower was whimsical, diaper sculptures, onesies painted by Theo. Spring 2023 bloomed with betrothals. Theo and Alex's wedding in a Williamsburg loft, graffiti walls framing vows. In chaos, we create. Elena walked him, tissue dabbing, Javier best man with roast that roared. Kai's high school production, directing Angels in America. Earned reviews, Riley stage managing, their kiss curtain call stolen. Javier's summer internship at Google shimmered, but a boardroom microaggression. Tone it down, firecracker, tested metal. Elena's pep talk via trail cam from Spokane hike. Firecrackers light the dark. He channeled it into a diversity white paper, promotion in pocket. As summer waned, Elena sensed culmination. Sophia's arrival, tiny fists waving, heralded new chapters, the great-grandniece in a lineage of loves claimed. The family's annual beach bonfire at Golden Gardens crackled with futures, grad schools, galleries, adoptions. Elena, Lila beside, raised a shell to the sea. To secrets sung, yet one veil remained, the finale's hush before thunder. Summer's end 2023 washed in on tides of transition, Seattle's shores lapping at the edges of Elena's meticulously tended world. Sophia's arrival had injected fresh chaos. Diapers daisy-chained across Marcus and Nate's Capitol Hill row house, her gurgles a soundtrack to their newlywed bliss. The uncles doted. Theo, shipping onesies silk screen with constellations. Javier, curating lullaby algorithms. Kai penning board books of tidal tales. Elena, grandniece in arms during visits. Felt time's helix tighten. Her boys, once babes in blankets, now architects of lineages. Lila's memoir launch at Elia Bay Books was a triumph. Cues snaking past sci-fi shelves, Elena front row beaming as Lila read passages of their courtship. Her laugh, a lighthouse in my fog. Signing lines buzzed with queer elders sharing nods. You give us hope. Post-event, over oysters at Taylor Shellfish, Lila proposed anew. Vows, proper ones. With the circus. Elena's yes was effervescent, planning igniting like sparklers. Theo's New York life burgeoned. A MoMA residency, Alex's animation studio thriving, but roots tugged. A gallery crawl unearthed a Seattle satellite show. He flew west, announcing over dim sum, branching back. Studio in Fremont. Hugs abounded, Elena's chest tight with pride tears. Javier's Google tenure evolved to lead an inclusivity lab. Mateo relocating north for a Bay Area gig. Their engagement a quiet affair on Half Moon Bay cliffs. Ring exchange with waves crashing chorus. Kai, 17, straddled worlds, valedictorian bound. Riley's cohabitation plans sinking with NYU deferral for a gap year abroad. Their stability wobbled when Riley's ex resurfaced, jealous texts. A bar confrontation in Belltown. Kai called Elena at 2 a.m., voice splintered. He says I'm a rebound. What if he's right? Dawn drive to Alki, thermos of made in hand. Elena unpacked her Sarah shoebox fully. Letters, photos, the breakup scar. Rebounds are real. They're just preludes. Riley chose you anew each day. Kai's poetry slam rebuttal, a piece on Echoes Eternal, went viral. Riley front row, ex-eclipsed. Autumn's equinox brought Elena's crossroads. Retirement whispers at the hospital. Lila's clinic expansion, tempting a joint practice in Portland. Downsize the commute, upsize life. Lila mused over Portlandia walks. Elena wavered. Sun's orbits pulling north. The decision crystallized during a family summit at the cabin. Sophia cooing in a papoose. Elders trading updates. Stay rooted, Marcus urged. We're your anchors. Theo, build the studio edition, guest for me. Consensus. Hybrid haven. Elena consulting part-time. Lila's Portland Pied a Terra for escapes. Wedding fever peaked. Elena and Lila's ceremony. That queen and backyard reborn. String lights, wildflower arches, rainbow flag sentinel. Drew the clan complete. Marcus officiated, voice gravelly with emotion. In you, Elena, we found mother, mentor, mirror. Vows exchanged under maple boughs. Elena's you unchain my heart. Lila's together, we're tidal. Ebb, flow, eternal. Rings slipped on, simple sapphires veined like veins. Reception spilled. Empanadas, boba towers, Theo's flash mob to dancing queen. Sophia's first steps toward the cake elicited cheers. Javier's toast slang. To the sapphic squad, queens reigning. Post-nuptials ripple spread. Theo's Fremont studio opening featured a mural. The family tree, branches bursting rainbows, titled Outgrowths. Javier and Mateo's commitment ceremony in Stanford's Arboretum wove tech and tradition. Drones spelling forever in sky. Kai and Riley's proposal, a beach haiku hunt, led to a senior trip to Japan, temples and tempura, love letters and lanterns. Elena's retirement gala at the community center was heartfelt. Plaques, testimonials from fosters she'd championed. A surprise video, son's montage of mama moments drew sobs. Lila's gift, a sabbatical villa in Tuscany, for us to write our next chapter. Winter 2024 blanketed joy in snow. Sophia's first Christmas, tree baubles from travels, her chubby hands batting ornaments. The truth tree tradition evolved. Ornaments now from milestones. Theo's solo exhibit, Javier's patent, Kai's lit mag feature, Marcus's NGO grant. Elena's hitched and hitched free. Spring unearthed undercurrents. Lila's routine scan flag anomalies. Endometriosis flare, treatable but taxing. Elena's vigil in the Portland ICU echoed old fears. Sun's rotating visits like sentinels. We're fighters, Lila rasped. Elena's hand her for. Recovery was gradual. Chemo curls, family feasts of bone broth and banter. Kai's bedside readings of Rilke soothed. Javier's app tracking meds. Theo's murals on walls. Remission rang like bells. Lila's first post-op walk a victory lap in Waterfront Park. Summer's zenith, a grand reunion cruise on the Sound. Ferry chartered, whales breaching as backdrop. Toast to 10 years since Marcus's truth. From one out to all out, and Mama's masterstroke. Elena, wind-whipped, reflected, the shoebox buried in the garden, a ritual farewell. Secrets, exhumed, had fertilized gardens. Fall 2025, current date marking Elena's 58th, brought full circle. Sophia's third birthday bash doubled as a legacy launch. The Vargas Chin Foundation, funding queer youth arts and advocacy. Board, sons, spouses, Lila presiding. Elena's speech, eyes on her constellation. I adopted 5 boys who came out one by one, each revelation a key unlocking me. But the biggest secret? It was mine. Love, vast as oceans waiting to crest. We chose visibility, and it chose us back. Here's to the loves we live loud. As dusk gilded the yard, hands linked in that first circle, rainbow flag fluttering, Elena knew. Family wasn't forged in silence, but sung in symphonies of self. The end? No, just endless encores of heart.